So here we go with the latest instalment of the International Champions Cup, and the team in red on the right are one of only two who can actually win the tournament. Benfica currently occupy top spot. United, should they win by 3 clear goals, will snatch the trophy from the Portuguese side. Milan, on the other hand, are just looking to record their first point. Everybody else has managed to get a point on the board. But United know what they need to do to get a piece of silverware. Well, in terms of the team news, United show 3 changes from their friendly win over Kristiansund in Norway in midweek. Marcus Rocco is in for Phil Jones in defence. Andres Pereira replaces Daniel James, while Juan Mata is preferred to Jesse Lingard. Rocco plays alongside Lindelöf ahead of the imminent arrival of Harry Maguire from Leicester. Wan-Bissaka, who's impressed during pre-season, continues at right back. Rashford and Martial will no doubt be quite fluid up front. A back spasm again means Paul Pogba is out of Solskjaer's squad. Smalling and Jones will understandably be unsure where they stand, given the incoming Maguire. AC Milan are unchanged from their International Champions Cup defeat by Benfica a week ago. Romagnoli captains a team containing more modest names than Milan sides of the past. Çalhanoğlu, one of the bigger names, but Christoph Piatek, his arrival in January has already proved fruitful, and given the recent departure of Patrick Cutrone to Wolves, there'll be more emphasis on Piatek during the current season. Amongst the substitutes, plenty of teenagers. We mentioned Pepe Reina. So it's Milan who get us underway in that change strip of all white. And in many respects, Gary Breen, the fact that United can actually win the trophy gives a lot more emphasis on this game, even more so than the fact we have 2 hugely prestigious teams playing.
Absolutely, but they're 2 teams that operate in a reduced status. Desperate both to get back there. United have had such a strong pre-season. 5 straight wins, only 1 goal conceded, bearing in mind they had their worst defensive performance in 40 years last year. No coincidence that they've gone so big to get someone like Maguire in. So I think Ole Solskjaer will be delighted with pre-season, but knowingly realises that the hard work is still to come.
I mentioned that Manchester United have played here 8 times before. 2 FA Cup finals, 2 League Cup finals, and 3 Community Shields amongst it, and a mix of wins and losses. But they haven't played here for 13 years. This International Champions Cup campaign has been a very competitive one. Certainly Benfica have got themselves out in front. And it just leaves United as the only team who can now pit them to the trophy. But they do have to win by 3 clear goals to do so. They would match them for points, but their goal difference is 3 inferior to the Portuguese club. Obviously, Solskjaer is looking more at preparations for the Premier League season. There will be that thought of winning a trophy in the back of his mind.
That's a prerequisite of being a Manchester United player, that you've got to win the competitions that you enter. And you have to say there's been some real positive signs. Notably, you mentioned that investment in Wan-Bissaka at right back. Dare I say, he looks the quintessential Manchester United player. Power, pace, it's everything that they've been missing.
Calabria back into defence for Milan. Rashford spots the early run of Martial, but trying to hold his line. He was unable to race after the ball.
You can see why Solskjaer's playing Martial through that centre. He's been impressive in pre-season. Has that pace to really expose centre-halves if they've got a high line. Has that capability to finish on his right-hand side, left-hand side. I do expect both he and Rashford to dovetail in terms of who leads the line. They're both comfortable in those wide positions. Solskjaer's been very vocal in saying he believes that Martial is potentially a centre-forward from Manchester United.
Pereira to Mata, lovely control from the Spaniard, deft touch, moving it out wide, back to Pereira again. Support infield from Wan-Bissaka, who then offers himself again down the line. Can provide an offensive threat. Can Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and he's managed to keep the ball in play. Milan, though, defend it well.
You can see what Manchester United have worked on throughout pre-season. They're going to look to press teams now, force turnovers, and then look to get their pace in advanced areas to punish teams. They've done it brilliantly in the first half against Inter Milan, against Tottenham. The concern will be, and I'm sure with fitness and the more games they play, is that they did tire in the second half.
Possession is with Hakan Çalhanoğlu. The Swiss international Rodriguez. Milan finished 5th in Serie A last season, 1 point behind their city rivals Inter. But even if they'd have finished 4th, they wouldn't be in Europe this season.
And that's the concern, is that you're seeing a giant of European football not being seen on that European stage. I think they'll put a positive spin on it, that they can now focus on the league and trying to get back amongst those Champions League qualifications. But the very fact that they finished 22 points behind Juve shows the work and the gulf that is now between them and the top teams in Serie A.
Lindelöf trotting back towards the Manchester United goal. Here's Marcus Rocco into Luke Shaw. United finished 6th in the Premier League. They were 5 points off the top 4. So they will feature in the UEFA Europa League in the coming season, and would have faced Milan had they not been banned for breach of financial fair play rules.
United pressing hard, making it very difficult for Milan to get their head up, make forward passes. You can see the energy, and it's been well documented in this pre-season that the intensity of their training is up 50%. I'm not sure if that's a stick with which to beat Mourinho from last season, but I can't buy in that any Mourinho team is not fit. I just think they've got a different way of playing now. It's going to be high energy, it's going to be about pressing. We're seeing it with Martial now. It's just whether or not these group can do it for 90 minutes, week in, week out.
They certainly tailed off towards the end of last season, having had a fantastic start under Solskjaer. But he's had a full summer and a good tour to get his head round the team he inherited from Mourinho. And now he can be judged properly.
I mean, it was a collapse to last season, wasn't it, in terms of the last 5 games of the season? No wins, 3 defeats, only 2 goals scored and 10 conceded. So all that momentum that was built on when he initially came in was undone. So the pressure is on not only these players to perform, but for Solskjaer to start the season well.
Ball is in the possession of Davide Calabria, but loses out. Matic for Pereira, just holding off Ricardo Rodriguez to win the free kick. Martial exchanges passes with Shaw, back to the Frenchman again. Now McTominay. United working the ball really well. Almost squeezed through the legs of Matteo Musacchio. Now it's Wan-Bissaka. Ball given away in a dangerous position. Rashford, though, unable to capitalise. Wan-Bissaka for Pereira. Lifted out to Shaw in plenty of space on this near side.
These switches of play will be on all day for Manchester United, bearing in mind how narrow AC Milan set up in midfield.
Martial with the cross, headed out by Rodriguez. United applying the pressure consistently at the moment. Lindelof for Rocco, and now it's with Shaw again. Very patient, methodical build-up play from United. Now McTominay can turn into space. He's got Wan-Bissaka out wide. Pereira offers himself in the inside channel, still with Wan-Bissaka. Loose pass intended for Mata, but the wrong number 8. Suso in possession.
It's a loose pass, you don't expect that. It started so well. You see United trying to press AC Milan again. Not any time to make any passes. It's fascinating to see the likes of Shaw at left back, Wan-Bissaka at right side. They'll be the most advanced United players now. We're with another mistake.
Pereira from distance with plenty of space in front of him, not connecting cleanly enough. Not really troubling Donnarumma in the Milan goal.
Seen a couple of loose passes now. We talked about Manchester United just being a week away from the start of their new season. Obviously, AC Milan doesn't start until the 25th of August, so they're not going to be up to speed just yet, but nevertheless, you don't expect careless passes like that.
I know that Pereira can strike from distance with some power. Wasn't something shown there by Donnarumma in his goal kick. They have it back through Fabio Borini. Well versed at playing Manchester United, having played in the Premier League for several clubs. Here's Suso from distance, good block by Wan-Bissaka, appreciated by the crowd, immediately over the top. De Gea out quickly.
Brilliant block by Wan-Bissaka, but we've just got a glimpse there of the problems that United have at centre-half. Little floated ball just into the heart of their defence, and Lindelof's not strong enough to dominate them situations. Centre-forward bumps into him, invariably then the ball drops edge of the box and they get a strike on goal. That is where, if we're led to believe that Maguire deal is done, that is what he will potentially give this United team. Real physical presence back there.
These two sides met in this competition last summer. Alexis Sanchez gave United a 1-0 lead before Suso equalised. United eventually winning an epic penalty shootout after a rather strange penalty kick from Kessie. Decided to chip his penalty and chip it over the crossbar to give United the points.
Still fascinated by this change in goal kicks. The centre-halves can receive it inside the penalty box now. I want to see how these coaches are working out ways to get their team on, but notably I want to see how coaches are working out how to press and stop players from playing out from the back.
It's one of those weird things, isn't it? We've been so auto-tuned into the ball having to come out of the penalty area that when we see that, we're suddenly up and thinking, that's a free kick. That's an error. That shouldn't happen.
Well, you're seeing these centre-halves now going so narrow to their goalkeeper, getting on the ball. Obviously, the opposition can't engage them until that first touch is made. But it will be interesting to see how that develops over the course of the season.
Rashford goes for goal and strikes it really well, forcing a save out of Donnarumma. Martial through a gap. Nice touch from Mata. United really asserting themselves in the opening 15 minutes of this game, and that by far the best chance so far from Marcus Rashford.
It's hardly a chance in itself, but look at him. We've seen it so often when he gets on set pieces from this area. Sets it out, cuts across that ball, so it's always swerving. And a goalkeeper from that distance, you're expecting them to hold, but he can't take any chances, has to punch clear. You can see the merit in playing Rashford on that left-hand side. He cuts in, drives for the heart of the opposition's defence. And if they drop off and allow him sight of goal, he's not afraid to pull the trigger from that sort of distance.
Now Milan on the counter, forward to Samu. Piatek showed a little bit too much of the ball to Marcus Rocco. Good defensive work by the Argentine.
Great covering by the second centre-half. Piatek has beaten Lindelof too easily there. Just cuts inside, opens up the goal to feint with his right foot. He's giving Rojo Little cuddle there to say brilliant defending. He literally, his eyes lit up.
Rodriguez gets it back from Suso. Here's Samu in the space. Again, it required the United defender to step in and thwart Milan.
Looking at this United shape, we talked about that width that these attacking fullbacks give you. Centre halves, then have the two centre midfielders, little square there to play through, knowing that they've got the pace to hit balls in behind.
Good running by Bilia, but lost by Milan, and Rashford is sent clear down the left. He needs support in the middle. Pereira, Martial coming in late. Here's Rashford going it alone, and he gets a deflection, but it was heading for goal anyway, and the majority of the fans inside the Principality Stadium applaud Marcus Rashford as he gives United a 14th minute lead. Manchester United 1, AC Milan 0.
Well, we talked about the qualities that Rashford gives you on that left-hand side, and it's no surprise as soon as United force a turnover, they play the ball in behind for his pace. But you have to question the AC Milan defenders. Why show Rashford inside onto his strong right foot? The reason you don't do that is because just 2 or 3 seconds later, the ball's in the back of your net. Brilliant finish, dynamic, positive, with great composure at the end. Brilliant goal, Manchester United.
Good start for Solskjaer and co. They need a 3-0 victory or a win by 3 goals to win the trophy, and that's a 3rd goal of pre-season for Rashford, but his first for 2.5 weeks. He scored in the Perth Glory game, the opening fixture, and in the following one against Leeds United, has yet to score in the International Champions Cup until giving them the lead just then.
You feel Rashford's going to be a key man this season, of course he is. He has to get that consistency to go with his undoubted talent that he's scoring week in, week out. Just when we talk about that brilliant form he showed around December, January with 7 goals, but to be classed a centre-forward like Harry Kane and Aguero, it has to be week in, week out he's a goal threat. You have to admire the way he started this pre-season. He looks full of energy, full of verve, and full of determination.
Well, he scored 13 Premier League goals last season, so I suspect the aim will be hit the 20 mark.
Absolutely. Centre-forward or one of the front players for Manchester United, they're the targets. You're judged by the highest standards at this football club. But what was noticeable, just in terms of how the philosophy has changed under Solskjaer, is that as soon as they win that ball back, first thought is, can they play it in behind? The likes of Martial, Rashford's pace. Stark contrast to what we've seen since Ferguson retired. If you think about Louis van Gaal and possession-based football, slow, quite methodical, looking to move as a team up the pitch. Not anymore, it's direct. And why not when you've got flying machines like Rashford up there?
He's having to do his defensive work there, though, and does it successfully to deny Calabria.
I think every star player for any team now has to put a shift in and out of possession. Gone are the days of the Galacticos where you just attack. I think the modern day teams are too good. 1 to 11, they're contributing in and out of possession. You can't afford to carry anyone, so that defensive shift has to be put in. And that's the one you can probably argue at Martial, is that sometimes for a player of his ability, he drifts in and out of games. It's probably one of the reasons also why they're playing him at centre-forward, to keep him involved all the time.
Suso delivers it. Too long for Piatek, but it's appreciated nonetheless.
Good defending, Wan-Bissaka just narrows up, protects the centre-half, bumps the centre-forward under the ball. The pace was on the cross, he just had to stop Piatek jumping for it. So as much as we admire these modern-day fullbacks, you still have to do your job at that back post for crosses.
Marco Giampaolo celebrated his 52nd birthday yesterday. I hope his team don't ruin it for him. Just 4 weeks into his new job. Succeeded Gennaro Gattuso, who'd been the coach of Milan for around 18 months.
It's a big job on their hands at times. They're trying to get AC Milan back to where they want to be. And the very fact that we talked about Maldini being there, Boban's back as well as technical director, they're trying to get that feel back into the team, and they have to do something. For 6 managers since Allegri left in 2014 just shows that they haven't found the right formula.
United on the charge again. Shaw has got support from the goal scorer. Rashford into Martial. Quick feet from the Frenchman, back to Rashford again. Space opening up. Mata almost found by Martial. Milan's defence at times looking a little porous.
Yeah, we have to put into consideration the fact that they're still not quite fitness levels, but there's no denying how bright Manchester United have started this game.
Wan-Bissaka on the run. Exciting prospect. Not just in attacking terms, but in defence. He seems to have the whole package. Piatek up against Lindelöf. He's got Samu making a run down the middle. Great cover by Rocco. Great anticipation by the Argentine. Samu had made his run. And Rocco made sure he wasn't ball watching.
Good defending by Rojo. That's the demand you'll have now at centre-half for Manchester United. Full-backs in advanced areas, quite often you'll have space, and in full-back areas you'll be dragged out there. Can you cope in 1v1 situations? And Rojo's read that situation brilliantly to cover around and clear the danger.
This was where Barini was just caught by Matic.
Just down his Achilles, that'll be a sore one, no doubt. Matic making his presence known there, just having a quiet word with the referee, with a smile on his face just to get the referee on side. Good experience by Matic. And listen, there's no doubt about a major role to play, bearing in mind the centre-halves are coming. It will take time for that centre-half partnership to develop. You need a good screen, you need good security in front of you, and none better than him in terms of blocking those balls into centre-forwards. I know he's advancing in years now, but he's still a very key player.
Actually turned 31 last Thursday, did Nemanja Matic.
It's interesting to see young Tomine alongside him this afternoon. I've been impressed with him, notably in his pre-season. Looks like real energy, looks like real physical presence, even for a young player. Read situations well, which is great to see. He's not afraid to use the ball well, he's not afraid to get in advanced positions, even though he is given that disciplined role at the base of that midfield.
Very studious looking Gianpaolo. Excellent pick-up by Piatek, spreading the play to Calabria. Çalhanoğlu on the run, and it goes towards Samu, but guided back carefully by the Swede, Lindelöf. Milan have not offered a great deal in the game, but they have looked a little bit dangerous once or twice with a couple of those balls through.
Yeah, they've had quality in terms of finding that centre-forward up against centre-halves. It's no surprise that the instruction probably for those forward players is, as soon as we do force a turnover in midfield, spin into those wide areas, drag those centre-halves into areas they don't want to be. But the key part of that is, yes, making that run, of course, but having the quality to execute the pass to get them in on goal.
Donnarumma being asked to show us his footwork. Not easy to do under pressure from a player like Rashford. It's like the greyhound chasing the hare head on. Again, Donnarumma being put under pressure by United, and it's paying off. Wan-Bissaka winning it, Mata, Rashford, Luke Shaw on the left. It will find him inadvertently. Rashford again. United looking composed and confident.
Yeah, they're playing on the front foot, certainly.
Martial brings it from Matic. He was probably, I don't know, half a boot length offside.
That's good defending by the Milan defenders, though. They realised he'd gone a touch early, just held their line on the edge of the box. Just allowed him to drift offside. You can see it now. Centre-half just pushes him into offside position. That's good defending.
I was being a bit generous, half a boot length. Half a car boot length.
Yes.
Another searching ball up towards the pole. Piatek, he's so strong in the air, but Lindelöf matches him.
He is strong in the air, but still centre-halves. You've got to be stronger in those situations. Take him under the ball. The pace is on the fly. That's what he's just missing at this moment in time. Yes, Lindelof can step in, he can make passes, he's mobile, being dragged out into full-back areas, but he's just competing for that first long ball up there. Listen, we remember the struggles that he had at the beginning of last season against Glenmurray at Brighton. He got a real difficult afternoon then.
Andres Pereira bringing down Lucas Biglia for a Milan free kick. We're at the midway point of the first half, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side have the lead through Marcus Rashford's 14th minute goal. Now it's time for his goalkeeper to keep a close eye at his end of the field.
Organisation has to be right. Defender's got a high line here. They need to drop at the same time together.
Whipped in far too close to De Gea.
That's good defending, though. Hold that 18-yard box. Bump your opposition so they can't get in there. Just allow your goalkeeper to come and take those situations. Yes, the flight of the ball was too high, but nevertheless, that's good habits. Just create that space for De Gea to come and take them. We know he's confident in doing so.
Matic forcefully driving that ball out wide to Mata. Forward come United in numbers again. Pereira. Martial waits, another beautifully placed ball stretching the Milan defence. Headed out by Romagnoli. Back in by Matic. Biglia immediately put under pressure. United, as you can see, the fact that they played much more in pre-season, their fitness levels are reaching what they need to for the Premier League, are really forcing the game, aren't they?
And that's the instruction coming from the coaching staff, the manager. And at times, as I said earlier, second half, they started to fatigue a bit, weren't able to do it. You'd hope now with the fitness that they can. But there's no doubt that Solskjaer is saying to them, I want to go after teams, I want to press them early, don't allow opportunities to play.
Çalhanoğlu into Samu, that first touch almost took him inside of Rojo. This time it's Suso. Goes for the far post, it's struck very cleanly. Wider the target than he would have liked.
It was certainly closer than De Gea wanted. Steps into a stronger left foot, the whip's there. De Gea just collapses at the last moment, hoping that the bend doesn't take it into that far post. And as soon as it does go out of play, his first reaction is to have a go at his midfielders to say, don't allow people to come onto their strong foot with sight of the goal.
It's a rather dangerous ball out of defence by De Gea. Put Matic under pressure. Suso again, and this time, with that cultured left foot of his, he very carefully puts it beyond De Gea. And Milan are level. And out of nothing, really, United's possession squandered. Milan capitalise, it's 1-1.
It's a brilliant strike. To be able to beat a goalkeeper as comfortably as he has done from that distance tells you all you need to know. De Gea's at full stretch, but he bends it outside that post and brings it back in. Keeper no chance. What a strike. Milan back in this game.
Well, the former Liverpool player scores against their great rivals, arch rivals, to bring Milan on level terms. So United now must score 4 goals in this game to win the International Champions Cup. That's a minimum.
Looking at how that goal resulted, and you're saying about De Gea forcing it, I think that's what you're going to see a lot of. We talked about Matic, a player of his ability, should be able to take balls in those situations and not get robbed of it. If he gets closed down as early as he did, then he should have a picture in his mind to pop it off. So I don't think it's a case of saying don't take those risks. I think United and most teams now at this level will look to play out from the goalkeeper. But that deep line midfielder has to be able to take balls like that far more comfortably than Matic is in that instance.
Of course, in terms of the English Premier League, just a few more days left for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to do his transfer dealings, or at least leave them in the hands of those in the administration part at United. Of course, Maguire, we understand, will be a United player within the next few days. Will Paul Pogba be a United player by the close of the transfer window? That's probably the biggest question when it comes to Manchester United.
He's always the big news, isn't he, Pogba? And the very fact he's got a back spasm is the reason why he's not here. We're always quite suspicious of that injury as such. But you talked about the importance of Woodward getting these deals done. Now, if that Maguire deal has been done, then that's a great boost for United, bearing in mind they've had some difficulties over the last couple of seasons in terms of their transfer. Recruitment hasn't been great, certainly hasn't been at the standard that is normally associated with Manchester United, and they've paid the price as a result.
Milan's goal scorer, impeded, free kick to them. Difficult for Milan to attract the bigger names now, given that they're not even in the Europa League, not in Europe at all in the coming season. I think Piatek's arrival in January was a little bit of a boost as a replacement for Gonzalo Higuain, and he's certainly delivered so far, but it's going to be much more pressure on him given that Cutrone left to join Wolves just a few days ago.
Well, Cutrone had his struggles last year. I know he's come through the ranks and he's Milan through and through as such, but the very fact they were willing to let him go suggested they didn't see him as a main striker as such. Only 3 goals last year in 12 starts, so Wolves will be delighted with the recruitment. I'm sure they are delighted to have him, but for AC Milan to get back where they believe they belong, I think they need better stats than that.
Çalhanoğlu is coming all the way across to provide support to Suso for this corner. Just shy of half an hour played in Cardiff. Short to Çalhanoğlu. Bilia looking towards Piatek. That's what he's so good at.
That'd be a concern for the coaching staff for United. They've got their setup, they'll work on that in terms of set pieces, but when the opposition take it short, they're then asking you to adjust. Make your own mind up then. Can you be a problem solver yourself? So you're talking about leaders then. The very fact that they're able to play a short one, work it, and then get the ball in the box and get a free header suggests they are lacking a bit of presence at the heart of that defence.
Donnarumma seems to have been around for ages, and he's still only 20.
It's incredible, it really is. To be a goalkeeper for AC Milan at 16 years of age just shows you his quality. Obviously had a difficult time over the last couple of seasons with the supporters. They weren't happy with him being caught in moves elsewhere. But there's no doubt his ability. He's a fabulous young goalkeeper.
This time we've really seen Milan take control of the ball, because United had dominated much of the possession in the opening 20 minutes.
But there's a shape about them. They can't get you on that first phase. They drop into good defensive areas now, put that block up. And as you can see, Milan are getting comfortable ball in that defensive third, but can't make passes.
It almost feels as if United have an extra player on the pitch.
And that's what you need to see. You want to see the work's been done on the training ground.
Barini, blocked off by Matic defending. Fabio Barini, former Liverpool, Chelsea, Sunderland, and also Swansea City. Calabria. It's the return ball from Barini. Given away by McTominay. Drilled in by Suso. Could have been a wicked deflection.
They've had a reminder just how good Suso is on that left-hand side with the goal. As soon as he gets in that wide position, wide right, you've got to encourage him down to his right foot. Don't allow him to check back on that left and put any balls in your box.
United have gone off the boil since Milan equalised. Certainly given the Italian club a lift. Çalhanoğlu, support from the Switzerland international Rodriguez.
And desperate injury to their big signing, Hernandez at left back, looks so strong. Even the hierarchy AC Milan had said he's come back incredibly fit. Looked like he's ready to really take Serie A storm, having come in from Real Madrid, and then he gets a dreadful injury against Bayern Munich, ankle ligaments. So we wish him a speedy recovery.
Short, striding away from Samu. Rashford likewise, Calabria. Samu helping out his defenders. Chased down by Rashford. You mentioned Bayern there. Milan lost by a 0-0 against the German champions in their opening match of this tournament, and then lost by the same margin again in the United States, this time to an Adel Taarabt goal for Benfica, who, as it stands, will win the International Champions Cup if it stays this way. Even if it was to go to a penalty shootout, United have to win it in 90 minutes and by 3 goals. Matic dwells on the ball and is robbed of it.
Oh, brilliant play.
Lovely ball over the top from Suso, a little strong for Piatek, who was marginally offside, directly in line with where we're sitting.
Lovely play by Suso, just allows the ball to run across his body, draws Matic in, then releases Piatek over the top.
Glimpse of the roof, which is closed here at the Principality Stadium today, which makes it rather humid inside. I can vouch for that.
In terms of where these teams have been in pre-season, they've been played in some challenging conditions all over Asia, all over the world, really.
And I can certainly vouch for the fact that it's unwise to wear a grey shirt at a venue like this when the roof is closed.
You're not on the screen, so no one will know.
Just over 10 minutes left of the first half. Milan pushing to try and get themselves in front. Piatek again, the outlet.
See how positive he is at centre forward when he makes those runs. Lindelof has to be on his toes there. He's read the situation well just to cut that through ball.
Lindelof with the bright yellow boots. All the way through to Shaw. Now Matic also sporting the same colour footwear. Rashford has switched to the right flank, infield to Pereira. Martial is now right out on this near side. It's almost as if Pereira's playing down the middle. Shaw, support from Martial. Well worked, McTominay. Çalhanoğlu in the way, and away comes the Turkey international. Support to his left from Piatek. Samu is on the near side, as is Suso. It's a space to exploit in front of him for the Milan goal scorer.
And those recovery runs for United have to be a bit quicker than that in terms of getting back into good defensive positions, a good structure. They've managed to do it now, just negated that AC Milan attack. We talked about that, the fluidity of that front three of Manchester United. It's great, they can rotate positions, that's brilliant. But we've just got an example there of them moving into different positions. Not by design, but just by finding themselves in and not reacting then when they lose possession to being in a good defensive structure. That's what they need to work on. Yes, swap, change, interlock, whatever you want to do, but make sure that everyone is still doing the jobs that that position demands.
They haven't done it there. Marini and Piatek unable to combine to effect, but nonetheless highlights United's shortcomings. Gianpaolo will certainly be pleased with the way his team have recovered. This is only their third pre-season friendly, so to speak. United are now onto their 6th.
Yeah, there's a massive difference in terms of that. There really is. And Gianpaolo said about the very fact that they've had those 2 defeats, but he's been happy with the performances. He's talking about the very fact that now at AC Milan, he's asking this team to defend in a very different way that they're used to, but he's happy with the progress. He thinks they're buying into it, so that does bode well for the up-and-coming season.
I suppose one advantage of not playing in Europe is that they can focus everything on finishing in the top 4.
Absolutely.
In Serie A. Rashford, who gave United the lead, drills it in. Pereira wasn't expecting that.
If you hear about the sandbags coming out of AC Milan now, there was a club statement that said they remain committed to restoring the club back to its rightful place at the top of European football. Well, as you quite rightly said, they can really focus on that now. Obviously, Gazidis has gone in from Arsenal in terms of putting a structure in place to get them back where they belong and where we normally associate them, to be perfectly honest. And that's at the very top of European football. But you have to say, over the last 3 or 4 seasons, they've been nowhere near that.
I mentioned in the introduction, didn't I, the fact that the names in Milan now don't hold as high in esteem as the likes of Kaká, Ronaldinho, Shevchenko.
Oh wow! Listen, you can
Maldini.
You can mention.
You can reel them off, can't you?
Incredible AC Milan teams, and as a young boy watching football, I was absolutely fascinated, addicted to that AC Milan team of Baresi, Maldini, Costa Curta, that defence with Rijkaard, Gullit, Van Basten. I mean, we're talking about one of the iconic, arguably one of the greatest ever club teams we've seen.
Suso. Oh, Piatek gets there, does he? I don't know if he got anything on that header, but it troubled David De Gea to the point where he's forced to push it out. And that's as close as Milan have come to going in front.
That combination again, Suso, that brilliant left foot floated in there. Lindelof doesn't open his body up well enough. Piatek, as we know, will always look to attack those. And he's going to be frustrated. He hasn't got enough header on that to trouble De Gea. Just another example. We talked about United being relatively comfortable, but it's those concentration levels that suddenly, in a blink of an eye, they have an opportunity. You're looking at Lindelof. As soon as Suso gets that ball, he's got to open his body up on the right-hand side. There has to be information from Wan-Bissaka at right back to give you that reminder. Listen, he's just pulling off your shoulder. Having said that, centre-half of his quality should be seeing that danger early enough. Cheap foul by Rojo. Why he's going past his centre midfielders to make that challenge anyway, should be protecting his space, passing him onto the centre midfielders to collect. And they've got a difficult free kick to defence. So it's not on it this time, surprisingly.
Some of those won't regularly have an opportunity to watch either Milan or Manchester United.
It's been a brilliant competition this pre-season. It really has. We've seen the giants of Europe having to really take stock what they're looking to do. Talked about huge investment at some of the clubs. Juventus have done that now. We're seeing iconic defenders leaving there. Barzagli, De Ligt then comes in. We're seeing Bayern Munich having to bring so many young players through. Arsenal similar. United now, the likes of Greenwood, we hope to see this evening again. Been a great competition, it really has.
Moving into the final minutes of the first half. If it does stay this way, it will go to a penalty shootout to decide who gets the greatest share of the points. It'll be 2 points for the team that wins the shootout, 1 for the losing side, but 2 is not enough for United to catch Benfica. Just felt for the first 20 minutes that Milan were a little bit passive, but their personality has changed.
Yeah, they've got control of the game more now, and I don't think necessarily they were at fault. I just think that United come out of the block so quick. They have done all pre-season. I mentioned they've done it to Inter, they've done it to Tottenham, and Tottenham, one of the teams that are so difficult to stop from playing out from the back. They managed to do that. Listen, Tottenham had a very young team on that first half. But this is the problem, and these are the questions that will be asked of this Manchester United team. Yeah, really good, the initial part of the game, first 20 minutes, but can they consistently do that? Can they dominate over 90? I know the opposition will always have periods where they get into the game, but there's been such a marked difference, certainly in the second half of these United performances these pre-season, that they've not hit those heights.
Belia into the feet of Suso, good turn by the Spaniard. Piatek exchanging passes with Çalhanoğlu. Good movement forward here by Milan. 4 players in white shirts in the area. Çalhanoğlu has just dropped out of that area. In it goes, dummied by Calabria, nearly gets the return from Suso, and now United use their pace to break. Rashford, Martial ahead of him, darts to the left, in it goes, lays it back. Rashford can't get the return because Borini had come all the way back to defend.
That is great team effort there by Borini. Recognised that he's right back. Calabria got caught in advanced positions. And on that initial phase for the AC Milan attack, I'm looking at Rashford, he switched off. Calabria's got ahead of him, a better pass on the edge of the box, he would have been in on goal. They don't complete the pass, he then can't recover. Rashford breaks with that blistering pace, links up brilliantly with Martial, but Borini, brilliant recovery tackle to stop the strike on goal.
Suso again. Oh, Piatek has got through here. De Gea trying to shield him from the goal. Tries to drift it to the far post. Good goalkeeping. United still under pressure. Samu. Now it's Calabria. Dangerous ball in. Piatek acrobatically, theatrically. But nearly close to putting Milan in front before half-time.
You can see why he gets his goals. Plays down the sides, the centre-halves, looks to play in that little vacated space if full-backs are too wide. Can't get initial strike because De Gea makes himself big chicks back, looks to float it to that back post. De Gea, using all his athleticism, just punches it clear. But a reminder there, Lindelof's having a bit of trouble coping with his movement.
He's not dissimilar, is he, to his compatriot, Arkadiusz Milik, in terms of the way he plays, Piatek.
I think he's a bit more mobile than Milik, certainly. If you think of someone like Lewandowski in terms of that movement, pulling down the sides of centre-halves, it'd be a nightmare to mark. And the problem you have at Lindelof, he's obviously concentrating on the ball, and as he looks at the ball, that's when Piatek just pulls 2 yards, 3 yards away, down the side of him. Then when Lindelof looks back at him, he can't make up that distance if the pass is right. So I've been impressed with him, and you can quite clearly see why he gets so many goals.
Confirmation that just 1 minute of additional time to come at the end of the first half, although that will be extended slightly, given the foul on Vsac.
Example of that midfield and what you have to do. People talk about Pogba not being particularly good at it. That screen has to stop those balls into centre forward. Done it well there. Still got work to do now, though.
Borini finds Çalhanoğlu, last few seconds of the first half. Referee Griffith does bring an end to the first 45 minutes. A fairly lively one, and it began with a 14th minute goal from Mark